What's up, buddy?
Good morning and happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you.
How are you this morning?
Doing excellent.
How are those legs?
They are actually not bad.
Yeah, not bad today. You got two fairly easy days coming. Sounds like you're a little bit fatigued, but I think by Wednesday you'll be back at it and ready to rock.
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty happy with how I feel today after that, actually. I was, just to give you an idea, I was just checking up on the Ironman Louisville Undie run.
Oh.
Just to make sure I've got that all dialed in.
Listen, man, you know, for the bachelors and single ladies out there, that could be a great
or bad
opportunity. So, but I mean, hey, maybe that could be our the Louisville Undie run could be our unofficial, official, non-existent, pretend triathlete Tinder app release.
Try Tinder release?
Yeah, try Tinder. Super beta version with, I think, only 4 users.
At the very least, we could create a mock website and hand out flyers.
Yeah, I think
coming
for sure.
soon.
And if you don't want to take a flyer from a random stranger, that's fine. We're just going to put them on your windshield anyway.
We need volunteers to hand those out, so...
That's right. Yeah, if anybody...
hit us up in our Facebook group.
Yeah, we're going to have a C26 Crushing Iron meetup on Friday, where you'll all be solicited to be volunteers the next morning at the Undie run, and you'll be required to hand out at least 400 pamphlets for the Crushing Iron.
More pamphlets now we have?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a flyer, but it's a pamphlet.
Yeah, I didn't tell you this or communicate it to you, but we hired Katie Letchworth to be our intern.
Oh.
For this project.
Very nicely done.
Yeah, she's got a little free time on her hands. She took a little bike spill the other day, so she's been relegated to being inside. So she got a little bit of free time on her hands. So I said, hey, why don't you be the intern and we'll give you a name tag and a employee number, something like that.
How'd you get such a highly qualified intern for something like this?
There's a high demand.
Man.
Listen, apparently there's a high demand. There's a lot of eligible, single, wonderful ladies and gentlemen out there that are, while they may have triathlon and Ironman first in their lives, everybody needs second place. So, if you're looking, hey, we got quite a few people I know that are.
Yeah.
I don't want to say in season because that sounds inappropriate, but. Anyway, this is the Crushing Iron Triathlon podcast. We'll do our best to make sure this is not an explicit lyric podcast for all of you parents listening in the cars. But hey, I mean, let's be honest. Half of the Disney shows and cartoons people watch these days are under the radar, perverted. So,
well, they're all made for. Aren't they all made for like adults by stoners?
Yeah.
It's a twisted little message they're trying to send at all times.
Yeah, it's all kind of messed up. But, we appreciate you joining us. We hope you've had a great weekend. Episode 193, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, 193, inching our way closer to 200. We will, this will be our second to last pod, in August, and then we'll be rocking and rolling in September as a lot of you finish out your seasons at big races. All over the country, so all over the world probably. So we appreciate you listening, and you can follow us on Facebook. You can also be part of the conversation in our Crushing Iron closed group. You can just search Crushing Iron Group, and we will let you in. And you can also go to our website, crushingiron.com, that has more information about everything we do, from the blog to gear, training camps, coaching, training plans, swim analysis, tribute videos, you name it, we've got it. And I think you can follow us on the gram I think is what people call it. What the
Jesus, dude.
gram? Yeah.
Oh, I read that article. We can.
Jesus. Follow us on the gram, quote unquote, at C26_triathlon.
And what's the quote there, or the headline?
I'd rather you follow your dreams than follow me on Instagram.
Oh, that's your line, but the other line, the
No,
T-shirt.
that was a line from the that was one of the lines from the article.
I know, but someone had a T-shirt in the article that said it the other way, right?
It was like it said don't follow your dreams, follow me on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like go bite the wall. Like that's just like what in the world?
I'm really trying, dude. I was thinking about that. We are like the anti-hypers, if you think about it.
Oh God, I know.
And
like,
it's on purpose.
We get offers a lot for which I think are all good spirited and people asking us to, because hey, you could really use, basically they say it in a much nicer way, but what they're really saying is you guys suck on social media, you need some help.
Mm-hmm.
But they say it, in a much nicer, sales pitchy, befriending kind of way. But yeah, our Instagram feed is weak. Our Twitter feed is just the weakest, and we think we post actually on our Crushing Iron page like once every 3 weeks. Other than that, man, we kill it. So
I don't know about you. I'm really. I almost feel a little bit proud of that, to be honest.
Oh God, I love it.
Oh, good.
Which I mean,
I was going to ask you that over lunch.
I've only been on Facebook for like not even 2 years from my long hiatus. So I mean, yeah, I'm all for it. It's just a lot.
If we can figure out a way, I mean, I don't know, just to make it about the people. Like, I just get so sick of this look at me thing, man. I'm trying to figure out how to make that stuff valuable rather than just like, hey, I'm walking down the street and wearing my new kicks.
Down the street. Hashtag Throwback Thursday, new kicks for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so. We don't listen. We don't struggle in that department. We just don't care. So, but we appreciate you listening, because I guess our podcast is how we reach people, and I'm 100% okay with that. I feel like it's done us well so far. It's helped us grow a wonderful team and a wonderful community within our close Facebook group. So, I'm 100% all for that, because honestly, like, the more people you reach, the more you have to filter out, not what you say, but like filter out people who just, let's be frank, don't belong. And I think everybody belongs somewhere, but the more that I go outside of like our group, our closed Crushing Iron group, and our like closed active athlete group, the more I just get like straight up annoyed. And I'm trying to take like a personal hiatus from a few things than I have been, because it's just, I don't know. Sometimes I don't see a lot of good in it, but outside of our group. But anyway, we won't go on a social media rant. Did you have a topic today? Because I got one.
Well, I'm all ears, bud.
Yeah. And I thought about
Pizza Friday?
Kind of. And I want to give a huge shout out to who is the gentleman in our Crushing Iron group that let me scroll through, who posted the listen.
Oh.
Who is this guy?
He quoted
Mike. You? Yeah, Mike Buskey said listen, quote unquote. I thought about making the podcast just titled Listen, and going through all of my biggest pet peeves as a coach or triathlete of what I've learned in like the last 15 years.
Oof, that'd be a good one. We might want to plan for that.
Yeah, we don't have enough time today. But, dear, listen. There are so many ways to get your nutrition and fueling correct. Because and this goes off of the blog, the vlog or whatever you call, the video blog, whatever that Lionel Sanders did about his post Mont Tremblant thing, where he basically starved himself for 2 days and lost 5 pounds, like he was a heavyweight fighter, and before he raced. And so we did like a poll in which everybody talked about like their nutrition, or not nutrition, but like how much they weighed themselves. So that was very insightful. Some people weigh every single day of the year. Some people twice a week. Some only once a week. But this time of year, you always have athletes that you'll see everywhere. You have friends. I'll have athletes that just... Is nutrition and food and fueling, is it complicated? I don't want to say it's complicated, but it's much more simple than you think it is. And most of it comes to just flat out paying attention to what you're doing. And I even have, like, I'll have this issue, and I'm sure I'll have it basically every weekend for the rest of the year. Hopefully not, but I will. Is athletes that choose, because listen, before I even get into like the nutrition and fueling and like things that are just totally like way off the chart of things you should do, does weight matter? Yes, weight matters. Is it the 100? Is it like the number one indicator of how you're going to perform? No. Your fitness level is. And so there's this happy medium, this balance between, and you see it this time of year with athletes who choose to underfuel because that's just how they naturally feel. They just don't naturally eat enough, and so their performance suffers in their workout. And we've talked about this before, is that you are not, when you totally royally screw up your fueling for a ride, you more oftentimes not don't just, I don't say ruin, but undervalue and maybe miss an opportunity of your ride that day. The next day, you know what else happens? Oh. You're suffering. And if you look at it, for 95% of athletes who only have the opportunities to nail these big workouts on weekends, you're taking somebody, let's be real generous, say they've got 8 straight weeks of just diligently 100% focus on their Ironman training or their 70.3 training, whatever it is. It's all relative based on the distance that you're training for. If you choose to just totally not pay attention and neglect the importance of fueling and when you should take in things and when you should not take in things, you're basically choosing to give up one of those weekends. Because you're let's say you do like the normal, what a lot of people do is the Saturday ride, the Sunday long run. You're not gonna ruin, but you're missing an opportunity. So you're gonna take away one of those, which might not seem a lot, but that's about 12 to 15% of your opportunity for those long weekends that are really, really important. Stop starving yourself to make a weight. Because honestly, you should never starve yourself anyway, but you have so many athletes out there who are so obsessed with finding their quote-unquote race weight that I would bet you 90% of triathletes who talk about quote-unquote race weight really don't even have any clue what their actual quote-unquote race weight is, or how they got it, or if it's even their perfect race weight, or they're just going by feel or a calculation, or they read Matt Fitzgerald's book, whatever it is. Like, A, know your numbers, but B, know how to get there and know the way to get there. And it's not by starving yourself. It's not by underfueling yourself, because you're just you're like, there is no sacrifice. It's the same way from, okay, how do I balance heat acclimation to no return on investment from a fitness standpoint? Do I go outside and do an hour, hard intensity run when it's 105 degrees of humidity out, when you know it's going to suck and you know you're not going to be able to execute it? But I'm heat acclimating? Or do you do it on the treadmill? So like, you want to gain fitness, but you want to acclimate. The same thing goes for athletes who are trying to get to a race weight or drop weight. and they go into these rides totally underfueled and totally unprepared. Find a way that, and I'm not going to go on a huge tangent about it, but listen, there are just as many, there are more nutritionists out there than probably triathlete coaches.
Easily.
They're a dime a dozen, and there are a million times, like there are so many different types of nutritionists. And I don't mean to offend any nutritionist that's listening to the show, but I have come into contact with and dealt with and seen more absolutely awful nutritionists work with triathletes because I'm a runner, so I understand the demands. And frankly, a lot of these nutritionists are just really, really, really good at being skinny. And that's just, and I'm just going by my personal experience with them and conversation with them, and I'm going off with loads of experience with athletes who I've worked with who reach out to nutritionists, and the next thing I know, they're fueling their rides and runs with an applesauce packet and a chocolate covered raisin. And
I know, I believe it.
But they're a runner. Who gives a shit? Like, that doesn't mean that they're qualified or totally understand the demands of what you're actually trying to accomplish. I mean, there are loads of great ones out there. Marty Sumball is one who's incredibly popular, who does a whole lot of good work, and I don't know that I've ever had or seen anybody say really too much. I mean, obviously you can have something bad to say about everybody, but she does a lot of coaching. And then probably the biggest one and one of the more popular ones is the Jesse Kropelnicki, who is the owner and CEO and I think founder of QT2 Systems, which is a huge coaching company that also dabbles in, not dabbles because they do more than dabble. They have a whole nutrition company. They have an age group team. He coaches loads of professional triathletes, and he's also the guy that founded and I think created what they call the core diet. Okay. Which is day-to-day diet, but also like race fueling and race loading. You can go to their website and spend, I think, like $150 to $200 to go through a test, and they'll just basically lay it out for you. And I've never come into contact with a person who has had a bad experience with that. And first of all, so if you're going to go the nutrition route, find someone who like really, really understands, and then ask them about their experience with working with people and what they usually do, because fueling with an applesauce and a chocolate-covered raisin and then recovering with only a protein shake after a 5-hour, 6-hour ride ain't going to cut it. Or cutting carbs before a race ain't going to cut it. So there's a time and a place for a lot of this, and I think one of the biggest things that athletes could address is the timing of when this is popular versus the timing of when this is the best part to be applied to your training. In season, I would say it's okay, but only if you nail it, and only if the nutrition or hopefully like the registered sports dietitian that you hire, totally different than just like the run-of-the-mill nutritionist. But a lot of these things, a lot of these habits, a lot of these trial and errors need to be figured out before the season, like before the meet and the most important part of your season happens, because you don't want to be in like experiment phase 6 weeks, 7 weeks out from bigger stage of the year. You want to be into the application phase, which is, I know what works because we've tried it, we've had our failures, we've found our successes. Now it's time to succeed every single weekend under every single circumstance on all my big weekends. Not, I wonder if this is going to work. I wonder if this is going to work. I wonder if this is going to work. And then this was terrible and I didn't do this right and this isn't going to cut it. So, stop trying to starve yourself because, like I said before the beginning, are the numbers on the scale important? Sure. Are 5 or 6 pounds going to be a huge difference in how fast you run? Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to. I mean, the less you weigh, you're going to more oftentimes not be able to run a little bit faster. But the trade-off in 5 or 6 pounds versus 2 to 3 pounds, not that much. But the way that you get there isn't starving yourself before a big night. And I think I had at least 4 or 5 athletes. You may have even been one of them who had long rides this weekend, and I believe either incredibly underfueled pre-ride or just totally neglected to fuel themselves properly the night before. Because and listen, I'm not advocating go out and have a pizza, 12-inch sub, and 2 slices of peanut butter pie every night of the week. I try to follow 2 to 3 very, very, very simple principles when I'm in peak phase, build phase, whatever you want to call it, before your big ramp up. If I'm going to eat, most of us right now probably have 1 or 2 training sessions a day. I try to time if I can, and I know that, and believe me, I know this is not possible for every single athlete. I know it's not, but I do my very, very best to time at least 2 meals for them to happen immediately after a workout, where I'm getting the most bang for my buck.
Mm-hmm.
Not after I've just been sitting still for 3 hours and then choosing to eat. So I try to at least follow every training session with real food and make that either my breakfast and lunch or my breakfast and dinner. One night a week, and so I'll eat healthy, quote unquote healthy, as much as I can 90% of the time throughout the course of the week. But then the night before your biggest ride, because and listen, most athletes have their big ride and then the next day they follow it with a big run. So the carb load the night before isn't just for the ride, it's also for the next day too. So for speaking only for my athletes, they're either going to have a long ride Saturday and a long run Sunday, or they're going to have a long ride Saturday and then another long ride on Sunday. So Friday night, chow down. Go get. So we're having a pizza challenge this week because I want to see more food consumed the night before ride. So again, I'm not promoting shoving carbs in your mouth 24/7. I'm talking about when you have them, how you have them, and the importance of them. And the night before, get you some pizza. Eat as much of it as you can. One night a week isn't going to kill you. But missing quality session after quality session after quality session because you chose to, only have one, sandwich and a bag of baked Lay's the night before, and then you woke up the next morning after you've probably slept, you've been, let's say you eat at 6 o'clock on a Friday night. Okay. Mm-hmm. You have a very small meal under 500, 600 calories. You go to bed, you wake up. By the time you actually get to breakfast around the next day, it's probably close to 12 hours. So not only are you going 12 hours without eating, your body's been asleep, it's been recuperating, it's been recovering, it's been burning fuel already. So you're already in a calorie fasted deficit, which is why a lot of people do their fasted, quote unquote, fasted training in the morning. And then you're going to barely have anything to eat, and then you're going to go out for a 4 to 6 hour ride where you're going to burn anywhere from between 1,300 to 1,800 to 2,000 calories. How can you expect to have a really good, solid workout on glycogen stores that are so depleted already, and then expect to have a good race? Anytime I hear the word cut, anytime I hear the word cut, red alert, sirens, because cutting to me always usually ends up sounding like I'm eliminating for the sake of just eliminating because I need to quote unquote cut weight, or cutting carbs, or cutting this, or cutting this. Severing usually anything is kind of a bad idea. But it's stop starving yourself and look at the next day and the next day, not just the next hour. I gotta have a sip of coffee.
Yeah, take a little break there, man. Well, there's a lot Yeah, there's a lot of that, like you mentioned fasting, right? So there's a lot of this intermittent fasting idea going around, and I can only speak from, I kind of do that just because, I'm not necessarily a perfect eater by any means, but I listen to it and I pay attention a lot, and it seems to me that with my body, the more I'm trying to quote unquote, race weight it and watch, my intake and really, cut back on calories, it seems like I put on weight. Or it seems like I put on fat, right? So, like, I think if you starve your body and then put it through these tremendous workouts, your body kicks into this preserved fat mode. And, I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but I'm just saying that I think a lot of times restricting calories is a recipe for putting on weight, honestly, and especially with the intensity we do. Like, think about it, man. It's like I'm not saying it was the right. I don't know anything about him, but Michael Phelps, what was he, a 10,000 calorie guy? Of course he was swimming ridiculous amounts, but we swim and we bike, and biking, like you said, is. I was always shocked at the amount of calories you burn on cycling versus running.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a heavy burn, man. It's a hard workout, and like to your point about nutritionists usually coming out of the running field a lot. They don't. I mean, they don't even like the swimming and the cycling part, man. Those are the ones that can really crush you.
Or it's like the total volume of what you're of what you're doing. It's just,
I gotta tell you, more times than not, after a swim and after a bike ride, I am more thrashed than any running, and I don't know what that's about. But like in a running can beat you up, but as far as like that overall body fatigue, like whoa, I am like trashed.
Yep.
Energy wise, a lot of times it comes from swimming and cycling. So to your point, man, it's like. My situation the other day, I think honestly was more hydration, because I think I, ate a big meal probably Friday night, and I did kind of carb it up, but I wasn't really paying attention to my water, frankly. And then I woke up that morning, had some coffee, had a little shit breakfast, and then didn't really drink a lot of water. And same thing holds, right? So you're going to bed you're eating at 6, you're not really eating much or drinking much water, and then you don't drink much water, and you're 15 hours in hydration deficit too.
Yeah.
So I always, I kind of felt like while I was out riding that's sort of what was going on, because as, we got into no man's land, I only had one bottle of water for like, 30 miles or something like that, because we went out and back, and I had hydration or nutrition. But it didn't quite, equate, because I think about, like on Ironman bike, the course is whatever, 15 miles. There's a aid station.
Most of them, 10 to 15. They're going to have some kind of aid station,
And I'm grabbing a bottle of water every 15 miles, and I'm out the other day trying to go 30. When it started getting hot, that was towards the end. That's about when I kind of crashed. But
because once you go, you can't get it back.
Right, that's the other thing.
I can make it this 15 miles. I think we've all done it in the trace probably, or just something. Most have. I can make it a little bit longer. I'll just load up when I get there. You're not going to be able to load up and feel better until probably later on that day. But it's definitely going to be post ride or post run. Like you're not gonna be able to get it back.
Well, right.
So like you're just choosing to, what? It's like dropping or losing your nutrition bottle at like mile 40 of an Ironman. I can wait a little bit and pick up one, and so I'm like, stop, get off your bike, go get it. Because what's 2 minutes gonna do versus a total nutritional failure? Because the total nutritional failures, or even like halfway nutritional failures, you know what they lead to? 30 minutes or hours. They don't even come close to losing 2 whole minutes.
Yeah, that's true. I think like you're saying, like the other day when I'm riding, I think the only thing that could, and in retrospect, I might have done this, is like just taking a little break. You know,
Yeah.
taking, when I say little break, I mean like 30 minutes or more, you know, or something like that, where I drink a lot because that happened to me at the lake that one time. I did about 2,000, and I was just like, something was just, I just felt weak, and I just got out of the water and went up and drank a ton of water, and then I had maybe like a goo or something like that, and I just kind of casually walked back down and got back in, and I just felt a lot stronger. So I think you're right. You can't catch up while you're doing it. You know, the only way to really do that is just literally stop for a while and try to get some stuff in you, like because what is it, like, you know, 20, 30 minutes or whatever, whenever you like have some kind of goo pack or whatever it is you
gotta have something
before it actually kicks in. But if you're on a depleted, you know, system all the time and you're trying to catch up while you're actually exerting that energy, it's just the odds of it coming back, unless you really back off the throttle.
Yep. And you know, and to go back to like the weight thing, is like there's a huge difference in like how much you weigh and what is your body fat percentage. Because the last thing you want to be doing is eating away at your muscle and losing muscle. You want to be, and listen, I mean, most athletes should be generally in, you know, doing a lot of that zone 2 longer intervals, where you should be aerobic and you should be using more of your fat stores. You know, so you should be burning that fat without even like, you know, really focusing on doing it, you know, because your body needs to use that fuel anyway. So you're hopefully going to drop that, but you don't want to starve yourself to the point to where you're A, losing muscle, and B, doing these workouts and not taking in enough calories after it to recover well and recover appropriately. Because all you're doing now is just practicing trying to be skinny and practicing losing weight, because you're not going to get any faster. You're just not. You know, and so again, like there's that happy medium between what is my healthiest, fittest, fastest weight versus how skinny can I be for race day. And there is a huge gap between what's healthy for you between those two state of minds. How skinny can I be for race day, and how good can I look at my undie run, at the Louisville undie run, or what's my healthiest, fastest, strongest, fittest weight for this race? They're going to look differently. And it's funny because like the more and more you look at, any like commentators and other professional triathletes, and like when people go on a Kona, like they have this huge like more oftentimes than not, you'll never hear somebody say so and so looks too big to win Kona or looks too heavy. They always comment with so and so looks too skinny. And it's just it's a mental and emotional behavior that has so many millions of different layers to it around why people see themselves this way and why is it difficult, and what, because again, it's the number on the scale conjures up the same mental and emotional feedback, positive or negative self-talk, that the power numbers on your watch or the pace in the pool or your pace on the trail gets. You know, it's I see a number and I say good or bad immediately. You know, and so and the weight is just an even more, I think, identifiable number with how people choose to treat themselves mentally. And you have, especially in this sport, you have people who have come from so many backgrounds, with athletes who have come from incredibly obese and lost hundreds of pounds. And then you have athletes as well who have come from I know for me, I have athletes that have come from that aspect where they've lost hundreds of pounds, used to be totally obese, and so they're super conscious about their scale, and they kind of always have that. I mean, and I'll be honest, even sometimes I struggle with it. I mean, I didn't used to be 100 pounds overweight, but when I was drinking a ton and eating like crap in college, I weighed over 50 pounds more what I weigh right now. And there are still some days where I see myself in the mirror and I'm like, man, like, you still see, I mean, if you ever like have gained weight, a ton of weight and did it real fast, like you're always going to have like some semblance of these like stretch marks. Same thing with like muscles and stuff. And so sometimes I'll struggle with like what I see versus what I really am, because our eyes, like everything is a filter.
Oh man, for sure,
filtered
dude.
through like our mind and our emotions. And then you have athletes who have struggled with anorexia or bulimia or some kind of traumatic event that led them to really obsess about an unhealthy relationship with food and an unhealthy relationship with the scale. But in society, it makes everything a million times worse. Because especially, I mean, it's got to be especially for women. I know it is. It's like every other Instagram wannabe follower to our page that wants us to basically just like them back is from some like 95-pound chick in a bikini telling me she just swam 4K. I'm like, nah, whatever. I see your shoulders. You don't have that. That's like that. They put it out there, and so like when you see the scale, it's just there's so many mental and emotional things that happen when you see a number on the scale, and like that's like one of the worst things, and one of the reasons I'm so anti weigh yourself every day is because so many of us, myself included, often have such a difficult and unhealthy relationship with the scale. Why do you want to start your day off like that?
Yeah.
The first thought, you get up, you go pee, you take off your boxers, your underwear, whatever it is, you step on the scale, and the first thing about your day is judgment. I'm skinny or I'm fat, or I'm making progress or I'm not, or now I can't eat much today because I've got to lose weight.
Yeah, that's
how you start
place.
your day. It's like, and so again, like there's just so much to take in, and I think like the biggest takeaway is like just know yourself and know your like what's good for your psyche and what's not. Because I mean, I would argue, because listen, food addictions and all these kind of things are the same thing as people who struggle from drug and alcohol addiction and gambling addictions, whatever it is. Like food addiction or the obsessive and addictive behavior that is eating too much or eating too little is just like is as little as talked about just as athletes who struggle or people who struggle with alcohol and drug addiction, and so it's like you need to know if you need help, get help. But the biggest one is like know what I need to do to set myself up for success. Like for me, obviously alcohol is a big no. Even like almost 5 years into it, like, am I perfectly fine being around alcohol? Absolutely. Like it doesn't bother me at all, period. Do I want to go hang out at a bar every night with friends? No. And so, is it fine like once a week to go see friends if I need to, or for people to drink around me? Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. But would it be totally different if I decided I want to go to a sports bar every night of the week and go sit at the bar but only drink water and eat a meal? Probably not the best idea.
Yeah, eventually that's going to go sideways.
Right, you're just kind of asking for it. And so with the scale and with weight and stuff, because it is such a accessible, readily available piece of information that we can all get in our bathroom or whatever, like it's know who you are and know what you're dealing with, and A, get help if you need it, B, look for the guidance of professionals who don't just look like you, who have maybe been where you've been, who do exactly what you do and have a huge list of people they've worked with in that fit your personality and know you. And if you struggle with weight and it's a judgment thing that makes you feel horrible about yourself, then maybe it's not the best idea to submit yourself to that guilt or shame or whatever it is first ever. But two, the very first thing you do within like 2 minutes of waking up every day. Like I can't, like, that's just, I mean, I might weigh myself once a week even right now, just because I just figure, like, I'm happy, I feel good, things are well, so I might weigh myself once a week, but it doesn't, for me, it's not I'm a failure, I'm fat, or I'm skinny. It's okay, maybe a pound or two fluctuation here, but I mean, hey, last Tuesday night I chowed down on some pizza, and last night I went to Baskin Robbins and got us some ice cream. So it's like, hey, live a little, and it's like, again, it's not, I don't want to like cut this out of my diet, because elimination is such a difficult thing to do. But be healthy about it, and if you don't, if you're not, which is also okay, then do the best you can to find a way to try your best to have a healthier relationship with that aspect. And I know it's got to be incredibly difficult, because it's something that you can't avoid. Like, I can avoid alcohol because it's not required of life, but food is. And so, like, I always, like, when I was in treatment, like, and talking to other people that are in recovery from, like, food addictions and that, and how they, whether it's anorexia or bulimia or overeating and like something like that, like, it's such a different animal, because you have to have food to live. It's like almost the equivalent of like someone who has an addiction to like water or air. It's like those are required for life, and so you have to have a totally different relationship and approach to it. And I'm sure it's got to be just incredibly, incredibly difficult. And I sympathize with anybody who has that, but it's just hard, and so, do the best that you can, but, again, elicit the help of people who can truly, really help you and be supportive, but who also, you understand, don't judge you by, the numbers, the numbers on a scale, because that's not who we are.
Yeah. I always, now is the time for a lot of people with the big blocks and the big training weeks, and I hear this, everybody's just famished and they're eating everything in sight and everything like that. And, I don't know. As I said, I'm not a nutritionist or a scientist or anything, but I have a rule I try to follow.
Wait, you're not a scientist?
Well,
you're a theoreticist.
Theoreticist, yeah, I'm a philosophist.
Yeah, philosophist.
But yeah, so I have a rule I kind of try to follow, and I don't always do it, but my thinking is, like, especially during this time, if you're eating meals and you're doing your thing, but you're always hungry, if you're going to go to the fridge, like seemingly out of nowhere or whatever, because you feel like you're starving, the first thing I always do is try to drink a couple glasses of water, and see what happens there, because a lot of times, the body, is actually calling for water, and it's disguised as hunger. So you'd be surprised, like, if you have a couple glasses of water and you start working, doing stuff around the house or doing what you do at work or whatever, and you kind of just sort of like that hunger pang goes away. The other thing is to always drink a little water before you eat, because it helps with digestion, and that kind of goes, for me, back to the weight loss piece. It's like people that struggle with weight loss a lot of times, I think personally, are not getting enough fluids in there to make the body and the system work, and the digestive system go to, work at its optimum level. So a lot of times drinking a little water before the meal is an outstanding way to prep your digestive system to eliminate food properly.
Yep.
So that's my kind of thing too, is like, I just feel like, obviously nutrition is huge, but I think that during Ironman training, dude, we dehydrate ourselves. I mean, I think I said this last night actually on my Louisville thing, but I think, at least probably 50% of the population is dehydrated chronically as it is. And then we add our training schedules to it, at this time of year, 15 to 20 hours of intense work where you're sweating buckets. left and right, and we just
like, and it's already 90 degrees with the humidity that makes it feel like it's over 100.
Yeah. Listen, our body is mostly water. We have to replenish that. That's how our body. That's how we get things done. That's how our cells operate and all that stuff. So,
and if you listen, like,
a double listen.
That's right, double listen. That, like, there's the term hangry isn't a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, like being dehydrated and not having enough fuel or calories. That's, I mean, everybody jokes about it, and listen, I'll be the first to tell you that when my wife is hangry, she will straight up shank me with a butter knife. It is no joke. But with like, there's.
I just pictured like a machine gun chop on a cutting board. I'm getting this done.
You would. But like, there's like, that's what it does to your, like, that's what it does to you mentally and emotionally when you're under fueled and under when you've not taken in enough water and appropriate amount of food. Like, that's what it does to your mind. And I think that, like, generally something that I've learned through my years and years of recovery is, like, someone the principle, like the HALT principle. HALT stands for hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. And anytime you're like one of those four things, or even all four, you're in, vulnerable to negative circumstances that might trigger like a relapse or something like that. Hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Usually, that's like 75% of Ironman training. Hungry, and I'll replace like anger with grumpy, but lonely and tired. A lot of people do this stuff in isolation. They're super tired and they're hungry all the time, making them grumpy. That's so many things it does to your emotions. So, like, remember that, like, when you're putting your body through so many things, you have to take extra special care of it, not restrict and cut things from it. Now, I'm not telling you to go eat like 9 scoops of ice cream every single night, but I'm just saying, like, we use the analogy of like a car all the time. Like, if you're gonna go on like a road trip across the country, you're not gonna all of a sudden just be like, you know what, I think to save a little weight to get us across the country a little bit quicker, let's go down to some balded, not as good tires. Let's take out the coolant and the oil. And let's see what we can do, because we're going to be a little bit lighter. So let's see how far we can get.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck making it out of the state.
I love those car analogies.
But that's what so many athletes do to their bodies. They're like, they want to strip it down to like the bare nothing, like to nothing, and then expect it to run like a durable, strong, resilient machine on race day, when you've basically starved it or chosen to not fuel it appropriately for weeks and months. And so think about it. Like, how are you fueling your car for your cross-country trip? Are you loading it up to the max? Are you more worried about it being aerodynamic? Or are you worried about being strong and durable to because it's not who gets out of the state the fastest. It's who gets to the other side of the country the fastest. And so you got to take care of yourself, and you got to treat it right, and you got to do the things you're supposed to make you feel good. And then let's be honest. For 99.9% of us who compete in the sport, if losing 3 to 5 pounds is going to make you a miserable soul versus being 3 to 5 pounds heavier and being totally happy with yourself and feeling good and being energized and liking who you are, guess what? That's way more important than like the 10 or 12 seconds per mile you might be able to save on the run of an Ironman if you can actually run the whole thing.
Right.
So
yeah, no kidding.
So let's think about that. Well, it's going to save me like 20. It's going to say I can drop from like a 9 minute to an 8:40. Yeah, for the first 8 miles till you start walking.
Yeah.
So let's just be realistic about it, okay? Like for 99.9% of the athletes, like, just give me a break, And hey, if it's not a wetsuit swim, that extra 3 to 5 pounds of fat might make you more buoyant.
There you go.
Take a couple minutes off that swim. Bam, now we're in the positive. So
that just gave me a great idea for Tricalc. They could add the weight.
Let's not. We're not even going there.
Think about that. They could add weight in there, and your time.
But it's just it's just one of those overanalyzed, obsessed about things for triathletes to do that it's totally misplaced when you see like the I hop on the scale Joe Blow 5 times a day to make sure I'm at race weight, and then you see him carrying 9 bottles on his bike for the whole race. And like, nice work, buddy. Like, none of that. Like, way to not even have your head in the right spot. But that's just, that's who we are.
Yeah, I mean, that is I think that's a super
love Mr. Hayes. Soon be like, oh, well, it's got the hills, and I'm going to save a lot of weight. And you, like, roll up and you look at, like, all right, you have the worst tires ever. You've got 9 bottles on your frame, a food pantry, and a hot chicken truck on your front end. And you're talking to me about race weight. Sorry. It's just, go get a haircut and save a few. Save a few. But, yeah, it's...
shave the arms. That'll...
Yeah, shave the arms, shave the legs, but come on, just give me a break, people. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Love yourself. Be able to do this for a while.
That's it, man. It's just like, we talk about sustaining your triathlon career, and that might be the number one thing that people, besides, pushing yourself too hard or like trying to, eventually be a one and done or something like that. I mean, those are this is the same principle with weight, I think, is you got to be patient. Mm-hmm. Just keep doing what you're doing. Try to dial it in a little bit more here and there. And like I'm saying, if you're like super dehydrated after a big long ride or something, you can't drink a gallon of water right afterwards. It's just not going to matter. It's just all going to go right through. You got to kind of slowly reestablish your hydration, your nutrition, and things like that over time. You just have to be patient with it, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any quick fix of anything that goes quick is usually not going to work. It may work for tomorrow, but in the long run, it's probably a bad call.
Everything in moderation.
Yeah. Including moderation.
Yeah. Moderate. Definitely take in moderation and moderation.
Yeah.
Very important.
How you feeling? I just want to ask how you're doing.
Good, man.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Last night I had 2 scoops of chocolate peanut butter ice cream from Baskin-Robbins. I feel like I got gypped in my scoops a little bit. It's more like 1.5, but I'm going to let it go.
That reminds me of a story. When Glenn was in town, he was we went out on, I guess it was after our team meal. Mm-hmm. And he saw this deal at Jenny's Ice Cream for 3, instead of 2 scoops like we had gotten 2 nights before that, he's like, you know what, I think I'm going to cut back and go with the 3 half scoops. So it was only a scoop and a half technically. Mm. And they had some young kid behind the, ice cream bar, and he just fired up 3 full scoops.
Ooh. Hey, you asked for it, man.
You can't get a half scoop of, what? Who's going to give you a half scoop?
Yeah, seriously, that's weak sauce.
This is a society of the extremes. We don't half scoop here.
Yeah, he should. Seriously, he wants a half scoop. I scoff at the man who wants a half scoop of ice cream. Give me a break, people. It's like Adam Embry asking on the pizza challenge if thin crust was okay. Man up, Adam. Go with like the deep dish solid crust. This isn't a time for this. Isn't a thin crust conversation. Half scoops. Oh, I talked to Glenn today at 2:30. I'll make sure I bring up that half scoop.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, currently they say half measures avail us nothing. Oh, half scoops the same way. Go all in. Go get you a full scoop, people. No, things are good. Rode a lot this last week, and gonna go hop on the trainer again here in a little bit and bang out a solid 2 hours.
Wow,
yeah. Fueled properly.
Gonna be fueled.
Yeah, probably munch on a couple Fig Newtons before I hop on.
Yeah, I've been adding Fig Newtons to my rides.
Yeah. Oh, have you?
Yeah, yeah. It's just it's sort of my I'm tweaking back and forth between this highly concentrated mix and trying to find the right blend for me. And I'm at, like I've just been throwing a bunch of Fig Newtons in the bento box just to nibble on.
I thought you were about to say it threw a bunch of fig bars in a blender.
In a blender, yeah.
Yeah, back on your juicing kick. I'm gonna throw some spinach, some kale, and a few fig bars in there and see what happens.
Hey, man.
Hey, whatever works.
Whatever works. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm gonna take an easy swim today, thanks to my
you're welcome.
schedule. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah,
I've been talking about that a lot on the Road to Louisville videos about
Mondays are good for rejuvenating.
About your keen eye for stacking workouts. I've been talking about that.
Very underrated, the stacking of said workouts.
It's huge.
Yep. Stack them and then unstack them and then restack them again.
Yeah, I mean, let's see, 3 days, Friday, and 3 days. I think I got almost 20 miles of running in.
Yeah, that's like more than you do in a week usually.
Oh, for sure. Well, yeah, it is. But it was 3 days. But it was, I had Friday, whatever, 5 or 6 maybe, and then Sunday got up, did an easy 45, and then I did that hour and a half yesterday, in the 6 hours later. So I had it all split up, but cumulative effect, pretty strong. I feel pretty good about the run. I think yesterday with close to 14 miles that's about the top end of my distance, I think, that I'll be going. Well, I don't know. Depends on what you throw at me.
Yeah, I doubt that. But
yeah.
Not if you don't want to fade on the back half of the marathon again this year.
I think it's all nutrition. I think I'm just been a little too light.
Nutrition doesn't give you new legs, man.
Well, it helps my hammies, I think. I think I've been going to these races too light.
Helps my hammies. For Christ's sake.
So anyway, if you're thinking about these big races, the big race you got coming up, and you're still a little bit tweaked about the swim, we've got swim analysis at crushingiron.com.
Yeah. Or just hit us up on the gram.
Hit us up on the gram.
Yep. Hashtag swim analysis. Hashtag faster. That sounded about right, didn't it?
Yeah.
Not really. Good. Okay, cool. But yeah.
Maybe we should have a week of overhype.
We're not doing that.
We're not doing it.
It's like, hey, swim analysis, for me, it's like the same way I think about, giving up alcohol is the best day to ever give up alcohol is when I did it almost 5 years ago. The second best day would be today. So the same thing goes with your swim analysis. So there's the waiting just doesn't make more sense. It makes less sense. So just more to fix, and will take you longer to learn or twice as long to unlearn.
Yeah, because the more you go down the wrong path, the harder it is to come back out.
Yeah, harder it is to get you back on the right path. And if you, want to know what my style is like, you can ask Angela Thomas. I threatened her with pufferfish poison at camp. She didn't fix her stroke right, and she did. Now she's great. So, hey, whatever works. Whatever works. So we all do it with love and care. And syringes. So, but yeah, we appreciate you listening. We'll come back to you on Thursday. Again, anything other that you might need, you can go to crushingiron.com, or you can always email Mike, crushingiron@gmail.com, or you can email me directly at c26coach@gmail.com.
Yeah, and hey, listen, if you've been thinking about how can I support this podcast, and every 193 episodes of commercial-free triathlon joy. We have a pledge tab on crushingiron.com. You can go there and simply just leave a little donation, and it goes straight to us, and it helps the podcast.
Just a drop in the bucket.
Just a drop in the bucket. Just sitting there.
Yeah, it is just sitting there.
All right, so that wraps it up,
man.
Episode 193.
We'll come to you on Thursday with 194. Have a good week, people.
All right. See you, buddy.
See you, man.